Okay, so the famous killer, and quite a weirdo as well, I believe, Dennis Neilson.
Yeah, that was one of the houses that I had to work on. The complaint was from a girl living there, and she was on the telephone at the top of the stairs, and she said this black shadow, this thick black shadow, came up the stairs quickly, rushed through her, and it chilled her to the bone, and it disappeared through the wall. And it was then that they contacted the church. The church wouldn't do it, so they got on to me, and I had to do it. Perhaps the most famous deliverance that I had to do was give me a minute. What's it called? God, but you know the London Eye.
Yeah.
What was that building called?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you remember Tony, the Millennium Dome? Okay, right.
Yeah.
Okay, the Millennium Dome. Now, the Bishop of Southwark opened the building, and everything possible that could have gone wrong went wrong on what was called Tony's Dome. Okay. Now, if anybody should have been called in, it should have been the Bishop of Suffolk, but he wouldn't do it. Now, at that time, I was working not too far away, fitting plastic windows. My boss came to me and said, "I've had a phone call about you." He said, "You have got to go and exercise the Millennium Dome." I said, "No way, no way, I really don't want to do it." And he said, "Look, they're putting pressure on me." He says, "And I'm putting pressure on you." He said, "You want to keep your job?" He said, "You have to exit." Now, what happened? It was all kept quiet, but that was the worst possible sight, because it was built over a plague pit, and there were all these bodies who had never had a proper burial. They just had a sheet thrown over them, and they were all dumped one by one on top of another into this hole, and the feeling of badness and corruption was endemic in the whole area.
Could you describe the term attachment?
Okay, in the normal way of things, we are guarded by our aura to prevent spirits from taking possession of us. Lobsang Rambo described this very well. He said, if you leave a car unlocked, he said, monkeys will get in, he said, and joyride it and crash it. It's the same with the body. If you leave your body unlocked, you may be into drink or drugs or whatever, and these spirits will come in and they will use your body like a joyrider uses a stolen car, and they will crash your body and they will use it for their own purposes. They will force you into drugs, whatever, and the person will become ill physically, mentally and emotionally. There is obsession, which is from the inside, and there's possession, which is from the outside. These spirits are very real and they are very damaging. Physical attacks by demons are not common, but emotional and mental attacks are very common.
Is it rare for someone to be infected with possession and knowingly continue and try to work with it?
Yes, it is common. In nature there is what's called a symbiote. What a symbiote is, perhaps the best example, is a hippopotamus will sit for ages totally still with its mouth open. There's a small bird that will pop inside its mouth and will peck out the bits of food lodged between its teeth. The same with the elephant. There is a bird who will peck out from the cracks in the elephant's skin the insects that get in and irritate the elephant. There is if you like, a bargain between these creatures to help each other. Now, sometimes when a spirit can possess a human, it will give to keep it going. So in other words, they will give them information. perhaps they will help them in various ways there, in order to stay in possession. It is true that a miser will stay by his money. An alcoholic will stay near people who drink. Sexual freaks will stay near sexual freaks in order to attain their pleasure by proxy. Some people do allow spirits to maintain them. There's several mass murderers who were in this situation and allowed it to continue. There are people who get kind of a gratification from having some form of company in the form of some of these spirits. Some people actually do, and the spirits will help them in certain ways in order to parasite on them.
Can some be talked out easily?
There are various categories of spirit. Mediums are very good for the human dead, but there are other categories that have never been in a body. Some of these are very old, they're very wise, and some are very evil. These you have to use the utmost care with, and they can be very difficult. They're often very tricky, and they will pretend to be other spirits.
Fantastic. So, throughout the years, and especially more so back then when there was a lot more activity, or maybe that's the case, maybe that's how you see it, I wanted to ask you about other beings that you've encountered at any point.
Okay, well, there are several different categories, and if you are working with exorcising people, it's a totally different ballgame to exorcising, say, a home or a building. I was always more happy with homes and buildings. With people, you don't know how much is mental disorders. Sometimes people's imagination, sometimes people just wanting attention. There's a whole raft of things you have to sort out first, and it was those areas to define exactly what we had there when hypnosis was the tool. But with a lot of people, you have to be so careful, because people lie, and some people, in order to get attention, they will often exaggerate.
Is it common to be attacked by a spirit that has taken over someone else?
Yep. Yes, it is common, very common, and this is why one has to adopt so much protective measures. The spirit, well, if it is of a demonic character, it will know that you are coming, and it will know why you are coming. It will not want to release its charge, so it will therefore attack you. I have been attacked, and this is why you must pray, meditate, you must put on clean clothes, and you must fast. The gut is called the second brain. This is the main place they attack, and the reason is if you have putrefied food in your stomach that is on the process of going rotten, that is an easy place to attack. A dramatised version of this was in the film Alien, where this creature bursts out of a man's stomach. That is a dramatised version, but that is the first place that these creatures will attack, which is why you have to fast. The last fast is called the Black Fast. This is something you have to be very careful of. There was one exorcism that I did that I didn't prepare properly, and I was attacked through this and had almost 18 months of illness afterwards.